Hi, church family. It's a joy to be with you today. Today we're working out of 2 Samuel chapter 1, and this is where David learns about the deaths of Saul and Jonathan. And he gets a report from a young man that King Saul and his three sons were killed in a battle against the Philistines, dying on the slopes of Mount Gilboa. Now, Mount Gilboa is about 15 miles south of the Sea of Galilee. Now, Ziklag, where David is about 100 miles away to the southwest toward Gaza, very near Gaza. But when we look at Saul's life, it was a sad ending of a tragic life, concluding the story of a man who came to the throne humble, but left it hardened, bitter, and against both God and man. Now, this Amalekite told his story about being merciful and ended Saul's life. And so, and we can read about this in 1 Samuel 31, and his story doesn't quite match what he says he's done. So he may have fabricated part of this, but he does have the royal crown and the bracelet that he has brought to David in hopes of most likely wanting to receive a reward from that. Despite the many opportunities and legal or legitimate defense himself, David refused to reach out and kill, destroy Saul. David knew that God put him on the throne, and it was God's job to end his reign. So David purposed in his heart that he would not kill Saul, even though his men offered to do it for him and encouraged him to do it at times. As we see that David, when he hears Saul's death, he mourns, we might expect him to celebrate this great enemy and rival, but David mourns. Out of pure jealousy, hatred, spite, and ungodliness, Saul took away David's family, his home, his career, his security, and some of the best years of his life. David is about 30 years old at this time, and this is when he starts reigning, was when he was 30 years old. So Saul was utterly unrepentant to the end. And we might contrast this with David here, and yet David mourned and wept and fasted when he learned of Saul's death. We can contrast this powerful demonstrates that our hatred, bitterness, and unforgiveness are chosen, not imposed on us, and that sure is a life lesson for us. As much as Saul did against David, he chose to honor him in his death. And so did the men of Saul who wanted to, the men of David who wanted to kill Saul, and they had every reason to hate him. They followed the example of their leader David and answered Saul's hatred with love. What a great example of leadership David showed there. David's sorrow was first for Saul, and it was also for his great and close friend Jonathan, and of course for the people in the nation of Israel, because it was a sad day. They had lost their king and they were defeated by the Philistines. We see that from there, David lamented the death of Saul and Jonathan, and actually he crafted a song to express the depths of his feelings, and it was called the Song of the Bow, and David gave instructions for them to teach it to the children of Judah. The Song of the Bow, which was probably named after Jonathan because of his experience with the bow. And I hope that you enjoy this lesson. I hope you see the life lessons out of it and meditate on it, and hope you enjoy your day.